Okay, what the hell are they like? Is Viz leaving a lot of details out? Or is the fan scans like just making up a bunch of shit? We're live. Okay. Welcome back to the podcast, episode 26, I believe. Today's episode, we're discussing what else, honestly? Chapter 393. Let's freaking go. This chapter started off with immediately dashing what I predicted would happen with Nobunaga, Phaeton, and Finks and Luini sticking his head out of that wall. Immediately, he just dies. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, he was much more stupid than I thought he would be, or he was just really unprepared for the swiftness of Nobunaga's
He certainly
sword.
got smoked there. In all honesty,
unceremoniously.
with the way that Togashi was hyping him up, essentially, with him continuously stalking the troop, it is kind of surprising that not surprising, but in a narrative sense, that in their first point of contact, just he dies instantly. He just gets smoked.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Like, you would think that he would be like, he would at least talk to the group a little bit before he gets smoked, but no, they just weren't having any of it.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder what Togashi is planning narratively with the Haley family. Because, like, man, so many of these guys are just scrubs. Like, they just suck.
Yeah, they are civilians.
They're getting rolled left and right.
They are corrupted civilians. So it's not like they had any prior training to the Black Whale. They're mainly just psychopaths who fell into a cult. I was just saying that since you mentioned it, this chapter brings a lot more context to the Haley family and some more of its members. And so we learn a bit more about the system that Marina uses for contagion. It seems that there were some talks about the water divination test and how some of these players, quote unquote, can choose their own Nen type, but then there's some others that are theorizing, it's Marina that chooses your Nen ability and you just tell her what you want. Some people believe it's just the person, like the infected person themselves, develop the ability. And so there's a lot of Marina's henchmen don't actually know how contagion works, and so it's just trial and error until they can understand how it works.
Yeah, one thing that stood out to me about that was, I think it might have been a weird translation or something, but one of the guys is like, I'm aiming to be an emitter or something. Like, it was like, wait, don't you just like take the test and like find out what you are? I know that some characters are like waiting to keep it a surprise, like the girl with the scar eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
The gamer girl, the pro gamer, Gelato.
Oh. Gelato Elgato? If you rearrange her letters, it is Elgato. That's a reference.
Wow, Togashi is he must have a gaming and streaming setup. Can you imagine that?
No, yeah. He just streams RPGs.
But anyway, I'm trying to find it. Okay, this guy.
Matavre?
Matt Vere. Yeah. He says, I want to be an emitter, and I'm gonna make a firearm. Not I am an emitter, and I'm gonna make a firearm.
Right.
Which is like, question marks. Like, why don't? Well, I guess if they haven't awakened Nen, then they wouldn't be able to take the test.
Maybe it's also like they just don't understand how Nen works. It's just like it goes back to the idea of just trial and error, and so they don't fully understand. It's something that you're born with. It's an internal part of your soul and of your human experience. So I think it's just a lack of knowledge that might perpetuate this idea.
It could be. I just don't see Morena like leaving them that far in the dark. Like they know some things about Nen, but not others. Like so yeah, it's definitely kind of like weird. I don't know
Well,
what's going
considering how Moraine is
on.
considered as a game master, it would certainly make sense that she knows more about Nen than her players essentially, and so it could be just as they level up more and they develop more of their Nen abilities, then she's able to teach them more about Nen, and that coincides with level. And so a lot of the new people introduced here are level 18, level 20, so they either just developed their Nen ability or they're right on the cusp of finally getting their own unique abilities. So it is to keep in mind that these are some of the bigger scrubs in the Haley family mafia.
Yeah, scrubs indeed. I just wanted to go back to the guy who wants the autographs. He's like, "Oh, Nobunaga himself opened the door for me," with like a little love heart. I thought that was really cute.
He's just it seems like a lot of the mafia members on this ship are Spider fans. I mean, of course, the supervisor for Char. I mean, later in the chapter, Henry admits that he's a quote-unquote Spiders fan. It seems that a lot of the mafia here, as hinted by one of the mafia underbosses, they're fans of the Spider. But it seems like they don't take too kindly to the. It seems like they don't take too kindly to the simp energy, though.
I don't know. They seem pretty chill. They don't take too kindly to like insane people, from what I can see.
Which is kind of ironic considering
people who
how
piss them off, I guess.
That's fair. It's ironic considering how most sane people would call them insane, but they.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just a bit of hypocrisy. It's like, okay, we're fine with if you murder 200 people. Yeah, we're fine if you murder 200 people, but if you say some stupid shit, then we're gonna have a massive problem. It's like that.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we get a little bit more of the underlings base. They're all on the cusp of learning their Nen abilities. They might start becoming a little bit more coordinated now that they're all kind of working together and being like, damn, okay, we're getting picked off. Our hunting grounds, in quotation marks, are getting more restricted with security increasing. So it looks like they're going to be developing a lot more. Well, we'll see, because they've just been scrubs through and through. We'll see if they develop any much more of like a better strategy.
Well, it seems that the team coordination among the Haley Mafia members, I think that's going to be a core element of their impact on the Black Whale. I mean, they some of the members, such as Damon here, Gelato, the pro gamer, these people were talking about someone attempting to recreate Luini's teleportation ability, since they've claimed it was useful, and it was just unfortunate that he died. And so it's very much of more of a hive mind, collectivist take on developing Nen, instead of it being very individual and specialized towards one person. And so
which is again, it's like
much more of like
these
a hive mind.
Nen users. I was just gonna say these users, they've consistently been like contrasted against the type of Nen user that we're used to seeing in the series. So we're used to seeing well-trained Nen users for the most part. We're used to seeing users who are taught to like bring out the individuality in their own abilities, and these guys are just the complete opposite of that. And I don't know if it's like Togashi pointing out like the wrong way of doing Nen, but these guys just seem like they suck. Like I don't know. They keep getting punished for being like stupid and just not thinking things through.
Well,
I don't know. Yeah, it's
in the way that nen is typically propagated in this world, it shows that the Hunter Association tries to hold a nen monopoly, or a monopoly on all nen users. So it's pretty much, if you're a hunter, you learn nen, and if you know nen, you're most likely a hunter. And so it really shows a different perspective, like the non-official, more underground way of teaching nen, one that isn't based on official principles and teaching styles, but more of just trial and error.
Yeah, I feel like the other families are a bit more successful with the types of nen abilities they've created. Like from what we've seen, like Lynch's ability, for instance, is a much better use of like an ability for her organization. Zakuro's a pretty individualistic ability. It definitely stops him from, like dying from knife wounds and stuff like that, because he can just control his blood.
Right.
But yeah, should we just move on to further into the chapter?
Yeah, honestly, I think there's some to say, but I think a lot of people will care more about the later part of the chapter, to be honest, because that mentions people like Hisoka.
What happens next?
So
our tall boy.
So we cut to Zakuro waking up in an alleyway from Lynch nudging him, and it seems that my prediction was correct, and that Hisoka did not kill Zakuro and Lynch, but he merely knocked them out. And so it seems that they got off pretty much unharmed, or at least relatively, compared to some of Hisoka's most recent victims. And it's kind of funny. In the fan scan that released 2 days before the official translation, in the panel to the right, Zakuro is like, oh yeah, before he knocked me out, he was trying to ask me like what if he wanted to go see a movie with him, implying that that Hisoka asked Zakuro out on a date, essentially, on a movie date before knocking him out. But instead, in the official translation, maybe, who knows, but this translation does make a bit more sense, though, since it now says, he was on his way to a movie.
Yeah, it does make a little more sense, which is hilarious that he would just knock out some mafia members and continue on to watch the movie that he set out to watch, instead of being like, okay, I'm being hunted down, like maybe I should change my plans a little.
No, he just listens to
whatever,
himself.
I'll just go see my movie.
You gotta listen to number one.
Hey, Giga Chad. But yeah, they go gather the troops. They're like, okay, well, we need to go hunt him down. I'm assuming they like re-find him with Zakuro's blood blobs, little blood heroes, whatever you want to call them. I was just going to say it cuts straight to them like finding Hisoka in the theater.
Right. I was thinking more, it's like because Hisoka decided to counter-attack Lynch, and I'm assuming also take out Zakuro, that he did release some form of aura, so he was no longer in Zetsu, which would help conceal him, or perhaps even Ian instead of Zetsu. And so maybe they tracked him through that, like through aura output on tier 3 of the ship.
I think that would require somebody to be constantly using N, which, I'm not too sure about.
Well, when you have enough money, you could always just have N security guards. Just hire them for like 2-hour shifts.
I mean, I would, you could totally write that into the story.
Yeah.
I think we would have seen that mentioned by now, though.
That's fair.
Yeah, I can imagine, like we were talking about earlier, like it's a more collectivist ability. Like you could just forego using anything else on the Nen spectrum to boost your N efficiency and just have like a super N. Or like I feel like that is inefficient though. Like it'd be more efficient to to make abilities that do specific scouting things, like, you know, a cat that runs around as a camera, but like, or like, what are some other scouting abilities that we've seen? There was that one guy on Greed Island.
Wink Blue, Palm's ability.
Palm's ability.
Flutter's ability. I'm pretty sure, with like the dragonflies.
Yeah. There's also that one guy in Benjamin's team who has like that weird owl ability.
That is true. Yeah, but it certainly does fill more of a support role in a group.
Yeah. Yeah, collectivist Nen abilities. It's an interesting.
Yeah, this arc definitely does have more of a leaning towards collectivist Nen abilities. Another example is Hulkenberg and his Guardian Spirit Beast, that he just gains more power from using the aura from his guards. So, I think it's a mixture of what happens with Nen when it's brought to the use of a more political and cultural side instead of going towards an individual's goals. I think that one of the themes of this is the collectivization of Nen and its effects.
Yeah, it'll be really cool to look at the future Nen abilities that get revealed with that context in mind, like going forward. It might be a theme that Togashi's going for. But yeah, they find Hisoka in the theater, and they find him in Theater 8, which I just want to point out, I'm pretty sure is Shizuku's number in the troop, so maybe some foreshadowing there.
Ooh, good observation.
So, yeah, they find Hisoka, and instead of trying to fight him, they strike a deal with him. And I already forget the details of the deal, so I'd have to like reread.
Luckily, I have
the chapters.
Luckily, I have it up here. So basically, it's that Henry proposes to Hisoka that Hisoka moves to tier 1 actually, and he can stay in a VVIP area. And what it is that he would have to stay out of GU, Char's, and the Phantom Troops' beef with Healy. And so he would have to stay out of that unless the Phantom Troop were to attack him first. Because if Hisoka attacks the Phantom Troop, he's then at war with GU and Char, because the Phantom Troop has now actually aligned themselves with Char after the incident with Luini, and so it's just a mixture of alliances. It's a World War I situation, basically. All right.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that's the main summary of the exchange, and Henry outright admits that both Hisoka and the Phantom Troop are much more powerful than him, and considering how he's handled with Healy's goons, it does put into perspective where Henry and Haley's goons fall on.
Yeah. So yeah, Hisoka basically agrees to this, but says if the spiders run into him and try to fight him, he just can't refuse. Which, honestly, it seems much more amicable than I thought it would turn out.
Right. A lot of people thought that Hisoka would just outright kill Henry or attempt to fight him and the rest of his posse. Instead, he definitely seems to have a more chill and methodical approach to the mafias and the Phantom Troops so far. He's certainly keeping his cards close to his chest.
Yes, he is, and perhaps that's in line with his change of mind after his fight with Chrollo. Or, do you want to jump into this now? Or,
is this in relation to your...
One of the most insane theories that I've seen this batch of chapters, it's that Hisoka isn't actually Hisoka. It's that Hisoka is Chrollo, disguised as Hisoka.
Alright, talk to me about this. I have no idea what you're on about.
So it's a very fun theory. I'll just say that. I will also say I don't think it's likely. It could be possible, And I think it would be cool if it was true, but I don't think it's likely. And it's basically... it's a theory by u/Dark Souls _simp on Reddit. Shout out. I'll put the link to that theory in the channel description. But yeah, it's basically like Chrollo using Bono's transformation ability, battle cantabil. I can't pronounce it. Metamorphosin. But yeah, he's basically taken this metamorphosis ability to transform into Hisoka, and then Chrollo is using convert hands to take that transformation's appearance. That's the idea behind this. And then, yeah, he's just roaming around on the tiers, seeing if he can bring out, seeing if he can cause some chaos, cause some confusion, and then maybe sift up Hisoka throughout that chaos, acting as him. That's basically the idea behind this theory. And he has some very specific, he's pointing to, his interaction with Lynch and Zakuro, small things and how he's acting, which, I don't think they're smoking guns at all. Hisoka is unpredictable in the way he acts. There are some interesting tidbits in terms of things that could be evidence. Let me see if I can find one. Evidence 1: I must not tell lies. Hisoka has been asked so far 3 times whether he is Hisoka or not, and each time he hasn't answered directly. We also didn't see if Lynch successfully activated her ability using it against this person, whether it's Hisoka or Chrollo. She could have been knocked out before it activated, or us as the viewers didn't get to see the answer. If it's situation 2, Lynch has said this chapter that it's definitely Hisoka, but that could... Either that's her saying, okay, yeah, I activated my ability, and I heard his inner voice say, yes, I'm Hisoka, or it's her assuming this guy's too powerful not to be a guy like Hisoka. But yeah, he's been asked 3 times, are you Hisoka? Once by Henry, once by Lynch, and once by Zakuro. Yeah, 3 times, and he hasn't answered a single time. He's diverted. And it's a condition with Bookmark that Chrollo must tell the truth. I believe that's... honestly, I didn't remember that detail. It's just a detail in the thread. I was like, wait, what? Really?
Those minute details always escape you.
Evidence point number 2 is that Hisoka or Chrollo has kept his hands hidden for the most part, and convert hands appears on the palms of the hands. We haven't seen the palms of the hands at all. Let's see. I'm just scrolling through the thread right now. Some comparisons to Hisoka not looking as sprightly as he usually does, or more so looking a bit more glum, like Chrollo was earlier in these chapters on the boat. Right. He was pointing out that it may be in character for Chrollo to ask for permission to ask questions. So a couple points throughout. No, just a single point actually. Hisoka asks, or Chrollo in this theory, asks Henry if he or the troop will win. And then he points back to when he asked Zeno way back in Yorknu who would win in a fight. Honestly, I think that's a pretty... I don't really see that as evidence, honestly. It's a very, very...
Yeah,
he's just kind of adding to his stack of evidence right now.
Right. I find that a lot of these as... it's correlation, not causation. That's my main takeaway from these.
Yep.
From this theory as a whole so far. It's a lot of things that coincidentally coincide with Hisoka and Chrollo, or it points to generic references. But overall, it would be dastardly of Chrollo to pretend being Hisoka and essentially set up his reputation with the Mafia in a way that benefits the Spiders. Like, what if this theory is true, then why he can play Hisoka and ruin his reputation with the Mafia, in which that means it's not just the Spiders hunting Hisoka, but the Mafia as well. Which, even with Hisoka being Hisoka, it would still be a game of numbers. And so, I mean, this is a logical strategy for Chrollo if he understands the diplomacy of the Black Whale. Also, it makes sense because Henry is sending Hisoka to Tier 1, and imagine if instead of Hisoka it was Chrollo, and which Chrollo and the Spider's goal of the Black Whale, actually, like initial goal, was to, well, be thieves, to steal from the royal incursion. So
yep,
if Chrollo is able to gain Tier 1 access for free pretty much while also hurting Hisoka, that's a win-win situation. And so while unlikely, this theory could provide a lot of damage to Hisoka and for many others. I was just going to say, like, maybe that's why a lot of the other Phantom Troop groups that split off, they haven't really tried to pull any extravagant moves yet. They planned with Chrollo that he would gain access to Tier 1 of the ship, and while they search for Hisoka. And so it's just like splitting up jobs, knock two birds out with one stone type ordeal.
Yeah, again, like, that's something, like, if I really think about it, I feel like Togashi would have planted that seed a little bit earlier and then, like, still kept this part hidden if it was true.
Right.
But, you know, like, there's a lot of things that you could point to and say, okay, well, it's not likely because of this. But there's no set in stone, well, at least that I've seen, I don't think there's a set in stone nail in the coffin for this theory, which makes it so fun and exciting to think about. Yeah, I just really, really appreciated it. This kind of theory is exactly why I love when Hunter x Hunter is releasing chapters. It's because we get, like, crazy shit like this, specifically in this arc with so many, like, moving parts. There's so much to speculate on, and you just get some, like, diamonds in the rough, like this guy just, like, coming up with, like, crazy, like, fun, exciting theories, and it's like, yeah, this is awesome. I love being in this community.
Yeah, exactly. Right, I mean, it's just a lot of activity, but it actually, because it's a moral gray area, and really it's, well, not a moral gray area, it's subjective in how you perceive the succession war and all the cogs in the Black Whale. And so it allows for multi-perspective discussions such as this theory. And like you said, I think it's a gray theory. It's a little less memey than Hisoka not being on the Black Whale at all, but it's a little bit similar to that. It's the new version of that theory, essentially, because it's like, okay, now that we know for a fact Hisoka is on the Black Whale, is this actually Hisoka, or is this just Chrollo in disguise? And so it's kind of a continuation to that theory in my mind.
Yeah, it also, funnily enough, revitalizes, puts the defibrillator. Gosh, can you speak English? Puts the defibrillator back on the theory that Illumi could have been Hisoka in disguise.
Oh, no.
So you have both of these characters disguised as other characters, which I think is just hysterical. It's so funny. Because a lot of people were like, well, rip to that theory, but then it's just like, wait.
Well, hold on a second. We're taking it back.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's so funny to think about.
I know. It's just, who is the master of disguise? Who's,
Truly.
Three people known for...
Yeah,
the three main antagonists right now known for their disguises. Are they disguising as each other? Time will tell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the thing that brings it together thematically for me is the movie that Hisoka was seeing was The Thing. Or at least The Thing is the thing that's being advertised at the movie theater. Like it's on this big billboard and it's the focus of the panel.
Is that like actually
And
the 1982 thing? Because that's a great movie, by the way. And I'm surprised that it made a cameo. That's great though.
I mean, Tagashi's a huge fan of those old horror movies. I think is stated that it's some of his favorite movies.
That's
of all
fair.
Time.
The Thing is an amazing movie, and it is kind of interesting.
I haven't seen it.
Now that you mention it, though, the story of The Thing could correlate to the story of Hisoka and the Phantom Troop. Now that I think about it, because you haven't seen The Thing, haven't you?
Yeah. No, I haven't. I have an idea of like what it's about.
Do you want like a quick rundown to see the correlation?
I'm pretty sure I know it already. I'm just looking for the line that he brings up from the movie that would apply to this situation perfectly.
Okay. But yeah, it's like a group of people looking for a quote unquote for a threat in the wild, and then people just get picked off. So in a traditional horror movie, but it's really scary in The Thing because The Thing takes on so many different horrific forms and such. It's could be similar to
and can disguise as the people it kills, right?
Yes. I haven't seen it in a long time though. Admittedly, it is good.
He quotes the movie somewhere, but I can't find it for the life of me. I don't know why.
If we find it later, then we'll just post it. We'll just edit it on screen.
I found it. If I was an imitation, a perfect imitation, how would you know if it was really me? That's the quote.
That's like that's a deep quote right there. Really makes you question your sense of self.
Okay, but yeah, that's the crazy theory, crazy wacky theory. Honestly, yeah, fantastic. But yeah, moving on. Lots more dialogue. Do you want to continue with the song?
Yeah. I mean, considering how it looks like we're done with the exchange between Hisoka and Henry, we can cut to the Corporal and Wayne. Right. So it's Wayne and two of his goons walk upon the Corporal's soldier that Henry was discussing with in 392, whose goal was to show Henry the base of Morena and the Healy family. And Wayne finds him and completely calls him out on his shtick of, oh yeah, I'm just a guarding tier 3 and such. And it was revealed to him that the guard is doing well to get the goal, the job that I was just saying. And so he agreed that he would pay 50 million Jenny straight up, like Henry, to get this non-bogus information. And we were revealed that Wayne has a very scary smile. Ice cold.
Yes. Now in the Viz translation, it's just this guy thinking a grin as cold as ice. But in the TCB scans, they make it seem like he's activating an ability.
Yeah, I read that. I was like,
sure
wait, is this part of Wayne's ability? Just it's an impervious smile? Because with how serious and logical Wayne is, similar to Nov in a sense, like same like all business suit and tie shtick. Him smiling is certainly off-putting, and it's the reader's emotion is set by this guard. Apparently, everybody that sees Wayne's smile dies. Wayne just shrugs it off as a rumor.
It's an interesting thing to kind of be like it's what, this is just like a character trait? Like, surely it's like a part of an ability, right?
Maybe.
And I'm thinking if it is, like, why else would Tagashi do this? If it is, I'm thinking like maybe he's got like a future seeing Hatsu in a sense. So his face will like smile at a person who is going to die in the near future, and that's basically his ability. That's all I could think of, like in like how to explain this. Like, I heard that everyone you smile at dies. Please don't take it the wrong way. Like, what I don't know what else this could be flagging. Like, the soldier does assumedly die later in the chapter when he enters this trap set by one of Healy's goons. So yeah, I'm just like, what else could it be? That's my guess.
I mean, that's a fair guess. But it is off-putting as well. Like Wayne's face when he's smiling is much more detailed, and some of the close-ups of Wayne in this chapter, you can definitely see the veins running along, or maybe that's just the art of the sketch. But
yeah,
definitely
Togashi,
you see the skin pressing.
Togashi uses a lot of construction lines on his face, which gives him, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a strong, kind of sturdy vibe that he doesn't usually do with characters.
Like a monolithic, stoic type of person.
Yeah.
Like someone that you see that is very resilient.
Yeah, well, so yeah, he's like, okay, well, I'll pay you the 50 million. This guard obviously doesn't want to turn down a mafia family and make an enemy of them. So he's just like, yeah, well, okay, it might be an issue, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, the ZU side of the family shows up with the money that was promised. And they're basically like, right, we're teaming up, let's go. And they're led to the place that they're assuming is Morena's hideout, which it could be, but right now it's just the entrance to an inconspicuous room with like this old, anxiety-ridden guy. Do you want to take this?
I was just thinking, like, initial thoughts. So the room that they entered was room 3101. Does this number mean anything to you? Like any representation this might hold?
Togashi does like to play around with numbers and meanings and stuff like that, but I don't think. I haven't seen any discussion on the number, and I haven't really thought about it, so it's something I would have to, like, I don't know, look up. Anyway, continue.
All right, so the corporal, Wayne, and the other guards, they pull out, their gun, and they start to make a forced entry to clear the room, essentially. The corporal pushes the anxiety-ridden man to the bunk in which he's keeping an eye on him, while Wayne and now Henry, who's joined up with them, is now entering the room. And now they're looking around, trying to figure out if there's anybody hiding. And it seems that Henry was asking this person where a certain Corporal Maizen might be. And it seems that this person did know who he's asking about, and someone threw a knife, Henry threw a knife at this man, like grazed right by his hand and right ear. And it seems that this man was bullshitting about something, because Henry's playing a lot more dangerous now towards him, throwing knives and such. And it seems they've definitely have found something with this man.
Yeah, so the corporal enters the room and then immediately disappears, and they're like, oh, where is he? And he's like, oh yeah, he went to the toilet. And it's just like, okay, well, this is obviously the trap that the trafficker was talking about earlier this chapter. Let me find his name.
Right. Perhaps someone did.
Vaconte.
It seems that a lot of Marina's goons want to be emitters. Apparently, a lot of the abilities, whether let's say launching Nen projectiles like a gun, or whether it's for a teleportation ability like Luini, it seems that emitters are in high demand, and it seems that there's another type of emission teleportation ability that's mucking about. From first glance, if this man has an ability that, let's say, teleports the corporal outside of outside of where they are and teleports them to a new Nen dimension, it could be similar to Prince Miriam's Nen Beast, which is it keeps room 1013 constantly in like a new Nen plane, essentially like separated from the real world, so it's impossible to get inside the room once you leave. And so maybe it's something similar to that.
1013 is literally 3010 backwards. No, it's not. It's close though.
Nice. We'll give you points for effort.
No, right? We'll
give you points for effort.
3101, 1013.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad we point out the numbers. See, we're keeping that in mind. So
that's basically Togashi confirming, like, it's.
Yeah, maybe that's like
a teleporting.
Maybe there's a theme on the ship in which, don't take this seriously. This is the rambling, but imagine if each type of room had a different Nen theme, right? So if, let's say, 3101 and 1013 both have like the same combination of numbers, and technically it could be the same type of Nen ability. What if each type of room had a different type of Nen ability? That'd be pretty wacky.
Yeah, I will be paying very close attention to the numbers throughout this arc, because it's pretty pretty consistently, like, Togashi likes to point things out with numbers, like Hisoka's number 4 being the number of death, for instance. Just stuff like I'm pretty sure, wasn't his number in the Hunter exam like 4 as well?
Hisoka's badge number was number 44.
44, yeah, see.
Yep.
And earlier in the chapter, I think it was like a mess hall or something, and it had a number on it, and Chrollo was in it, and the number represented something very specific. I'm like recalling a discussion I saw like 4 years ago, forgive me. But it's very consistent. So
right.
Yeah, just like as you're reading, whenever you see a number, scrutinize it.
The numbers and their meaning definitely do have a large symbolism in this series. But again, it's been heightened in the Succession War, like so many other aspects. I mean, if we want to use another 4 of death example, the 4th Prince of Kakin, Saridnik, he is a bloodthirsty murderer, as we all know. He likes killing civilian women all the time, and loves torturing people.
Exactly.
Just all around pretty swell guy. He has a lot of money as well. Have I told you that? He has a lot of money. But
pretty swell, fantastic guy.
But he, of course, 4th Prince, very representative. Yeah, and the chapter ends with Henry telling the old man to leave the room with him, and if he doesn't do that, then he will kill him.
Another divergence from the fan scans is that at the very end, on the very last panel, it mentions something about him successfully repeating a phrase 3 times in a row, whereas in the Viz scan, it doesn't have any mention of that at all. He does repeat the same line 3 times in a row, but it doesn't state it outright at all, which is, I'm wondering, like, okay, what the hell are they, like, is Viz leaving a lot of details out? Or is the fan scans like just making up a bunch of shit? Like, who's in the right here?
That's the tricky thing with just not having the source material in English and having it to be translated, especially from a language like Japanese, which fundamentally is quite different from a romantic language like English. So I think it's just trying it's just a translation problem. And it really does. You do bring up a good point. This chapter definitely signifies a difference between the fan scan and the official one being the Viz translation. Of course, there are differences between the two, but it seems that in this chapter, in the most recent batch, this one has been the most notable in difference between fan and official scans.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it is good, though, that the fan translations and the official translations do match up pretty well in terms of core concepts and such. Because if there's just two different stories between, like, two fundamentally different stories between the fan scan and the official, then there would be a lot more of an issue. But it's really just individual phrases and words and descriptions that might be slightly altered between the two scans. And so it's not as bad as it could be realistically.
Yeah, and I do see people who know Japanese, I do see them discussing points like this, and I do like just checking in and on like clarifications like that. It's something that I enjoy doing. But yeah, Henry having throwing knives is honestly pretty cool because, you know, he can throw the knife and then transform it, I'm assuming, or transform it and then throw it. I don't know if he has to be holding the item before he transforms it, or if he can throw it and then, you know, like mark it to transform after he throws it.
Right. His Biohazard would have a lot more power, though, if he was able to use it like by not directly making contact with it. That would make it even more powerful than it already is.
Yeah. He does make contact with the weapons of the soldiers. I think a good middle ground would probably be he just has to make contact with the thing he wants to transform at some point in time.
Right.
Like he marks it to transform, and then he can kind of like trigger it.
Right,
when
similar
he wants.
to Luini's teleportation ability, in which he has to mark different places in order to teleport them to them, I should say.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I think that would be.
Rest in peace.
I think
Luini.
that. Rest in peace, indeed. His crescent tattoo will live on.
No, it won't.
Yeah, it's going to be at the bottom of the ocean, rotting away.
Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do with that dismembered corpse. That was very gruesome. Jeez, Nobunaga, he just like decided to cut his head off as well.
Cut off his head and cut off his legs. His arms are still intact, though.
Well, that was not Nobunaga, though.
I know that was
the portal closing when he died.
Yeah, but still, at least for a very at least for a pretty gruesome scene once the Char family members return. They're like, "Oh my god,
it's so good, though.
Serial killer." Oh yeah, that's Char gained the power of the Friendship. The Friendship are out for blood now with Haley. They clearly see the threat that Haley holds. And I think that's actually one of the most significant developments of this chapter. It's two. One, Henry and Hisoka coming to an agreement. Hisoka going to Tier 1 and having essentially a non-aggression pact with Char and Jiyu is rather important. And then, of course, Finks, Phaeton, and Nobunaga deciding to help Char in their goals of exterminating the Healy family. Like, especially against those goobers who don't really actually know Nen yet, that's going to be a very unfair match. And I think it's just a question now of can the other Mafia families control the Phantom Troop for long enough to restore the balance of power between the Mafia families and make sure that they don't come into contact with Hisoka, because otherwise this whole plan goes to shit.
So the plan is obviously going to shit. That's just like storytelling 101. At some point, the plan is going to shit. We've had Hisoka or Chrollo say, "I'm a fan of the chaos," which, you know, it's in character for both of them.
That is
Let's
true.
just say that. If it is Chrollo, it makes sense for him to cause chaos as Hisoka, to turn the Mafias against Hisoka, and to further like increase the bond with the Mafias to hunt Hisoka down. If it is Hisoka, it does make sense for Hisoka to be like, I think I will cause chaos right now, actually, and, you know, just choose his time and place to to flip the switch and like start killing people.
Right.
So all the like I keep saying, like I think I said in the previous episode, the dominoes are lined up and they're slowly starting to be tipped over. It's just each chapter we're seeing the dominoes slowly fall onto another, and it's just like it's building. It's
a true
so
snowball
good.
effect, and it's going to be it seems like it's going to be a very large payout later on. Just everything just collides with each other, and mind you, this is still day 10 of the voyage. It hasn't even been a whole day since chapters came back yet. This is all just still going on. Just
yeah. So that guy's got what, 6 days left to get
4
his
days
autograph
left.
paper?
4 days.
7.
He's the day 10 of the voyage, and you can have up to 2 weeks before you're far away enough from the mainland, which they can't give deliveries. So he really does need to hurry up.
Okay, yeah, I understand.
Right, and if he's trying to find,
of all the characters, I'm on his side. I'm that guy's.
honest goals.
I'm on
honest
that guy's
goals.
team.
He just wants an autograph from his favorite group of people. That's all. But if he couldn't even find one autograph board, how is he going to find multiple? He's going to have to get in contact with a special dealer from Tier 1 in order to get that. Like, imagine that. You would need to, in order to get, like, good autograph paper, you need to get in contact with, like, the dealer for the top 0.1% of people. Just, it really must be hard to come by. Like, it must be harder to get like illicit hardcore drugs and other black market materials, like black market arms on a ship going to nowhere with no like full on like mainland law enforcement, but just a group of like a few thousand people. Like, that's probably expensive.
Honestly might be easier to get a gun.
No, it is easier to get a gun. Oh yeah, no.
Paper.
It's easier to get most. It's apparently easier to get most stuff than autograph paper, and that just amuses me. Yeah, it's again, it's one of those really niche items in which it's not rare because there's it's banned or anything. It's just rare because there's just very few people there's low demand for the item. Yeah, exactly. And it's just for these very specific cases that people find it. And of course, because no one actually has it, it's uber expensive.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we wanted to talk about this chapter?
I think that's really it for this one. I think it's leading up to chapter 394 and such. And so
4.
Oh, 4. True. As the death number.
Yeah, and then chapter 404 is coming up, which was Kurapika's number. So
yeah, indeed
keep
it was.
a close eye on that
Indeed
chapter.
It was. Symbolism.
Yeah, I wonder when we're going to change perspectives again. Maybe maybe we'll follow the perspective of Hisoka or Chrollo as they go up to the VVIP
Yeah, that
room.
would actually be really interesting. Because the VVIP room, if I remember from the Tier 1 map, that should be on the west side of Tier 1, which is on the even side. And so it's going to be facing 1014.
Okay.
Which is Oyato's and Wobble's room. Because...
Oh, dude.
Because Wobble
is
the 14th prince, yeah.
Oh, it lines up perfectly.
I have I'll put the map up on screen for people that don't remember, but it really all is just lining up. Like, this is like a true domino effect being set. Like, a better analogy couldn't be used here.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, I think that wraps up the chapter summary,
right?
And theories. And do you have any theories for like next chapters going forward?
I think going back to your question a moment ago, I think we're gonna be switching perspectives again. on chapter 395. I'm not entirely certain, but I think 395 is a good number, like halfway between like during this official batch, because we know that there's going to be 10 chapters. I think it would make sense that halfway through the batch that it would switch perspectives again. But who knows? Maybe there'll be more, maybe there'll be less of the Mafia plot, but it's still an interesting read regardless, though. I'm pretty sure and that some people are excited to go back to Tier 1.
Yeah, absolutely. People have, since the beginning of the chapter releases, people have been wanting to see the upper tiers. Like you said, I think a halfway point would make sense. It would also make sense to do it at the end of the volume as well. We're just going to have to wait and see. Okay, so there's one more thing that we wanted to bring up, and that was we wanted to shout out a fan art by our good friend and podcast watcher, Ryan, who drew this excellent artwork, showed on screen, edited up.
It's amazing.
Our first podcast fan art. That's so cool.
I know. So much, I love it. All right. It's very well drawn, and I think it's very, very cute. It's great.
Yeah, it is cute. If you want to submit your own fan art, drum roll. Maybe we should... I don't know. I was going to say maybe we should make our own Hunter podcast server, but I do not want to moderate a entire Discord server because... I already moderate one as well. So yeah, just come to the Reddit Discord server or something and post it in art.
Exactly.
We'll see it there.
Well, and of course we'll give you a shout out. We always appreciate good art.
Of course, yeah, of course. Anyway, I think that wraps up today's episode of the Hunter Podcast. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for sticking all the way through. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe for more, ring the bell. I'm sure we'll be doing it. I don't know. We've done it weekly the last 2 episodes, but we might do it bi-weekly on and off.
It's all up to what happens in chapters and our schedules and such.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, thanks so much. We'll catch you in the next episode.